I'm done stitching the seams. I trimmed the 1/2 inch to 1/4 so that the seams don't become too bulky when I turn it to the other side. So sometimes when you turn it and you realize your seams are too bulky, you can just go ahead and then trim them a bit. Okay, so you can turn it to the other side like this. It's still not relaxed, so we're just gonna press it a bit. So it's time for us to insert our boning. I was taught in school how to finish the boning edges. I don't know how you finish yours, but I finished mine this way. So after cutting the boning like this, you cut the tip a bit, like the side and side here, and then the other side too, like how I've done it. And then we're gonna go ahead and take our nail file to file the edges a bit so that it's not very uncomfortable to the wearer. So we have to make it smooth at that side before inserting it in here. So you can choose to measure the distance between here and here before cutting out the boning and inserting it, but I prefer this method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it in till I reach the limit, and then I'm going to mark the end with a pencil so it ends here. So when I remove it out a bit, I'll know where it ends. Then I'll just measure 1/2 inch and then cut it off. Here. So I'm gonna do that same thing to the down. Okay, so just like this. So make sure there's a bit of space at the down here so that it will help us finish the bottom part very easy. But if you cut it all the way to the end, you might struggle in finishing the bottom part. So I leave about 1/2 inch to do that. So it's very important you leave it like this. So I'm gonna quickly do the rest of the seams and then I'll get back to you. Okay, I'm done inserting my boning. Looks beautiful already. So I'm gonna go ahead and press it down a bit. So I'm gonna trim the facing to match the main fabric so it's easy for us to stitch and turn the bottom. When you find your own equal, you can just go ahead and leave it like that, but when you find the facing longer, just go ahead and trim it a bit. Okay, so our corset is coming out nice. It looks so much more beautiful now that it's trimmed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to finish the hem here, and I'll show you how to finish the sides here too. So we're just going to quickly turn it to the wrong side like this. Place here on top of the inner fabric, and we're just going to pin it all around. So after pinning it, I'm quickly going to sew my 1/2 inch throughout and then show you guys what to do next. We're done stitching our bottom here. See how neat and nice it looked. I trimmed it a bit so it doesn't get bulky like how I trimmed the top part. So we're going to turn it inside out to get access to the right side, like this. You have to take your time since there are plastic bonings inside. So we are done turning this now. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a good press. Okay, so this is how our corset will be looking like at this stage. So we're gonna put this aside and then work with the I'm doing something called loop. I'll be putting loops here. So something like this, let's call a loop. Something like this. So this is what I'll be doing, and I'm going to be making a belt to from the same fabric. So I'll quickly show you how to cut those ones. So the measurement in cutting these loops, I cut them 2 inch in length, but first I cut out a long strip, then I measured 2 inches and then I cut it out. So if I need about 8 or 7 or 6 loops for my corset, I'll have to multiply that by 2. Since it's going to be 2 inches, I'm going to be cutting out of the strip. So I think I'll need 6 to 8. So let's just say 8, because the more the better, right? So 8 times 2 is 16, and because I'm going to use it on both sides, so this side is going to have about 16, this side too will have about 16, so that makes it what, 32. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to cut length 32 by 1 inch on fold. So when you open it up, you have 2 inches. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm done marking. I'm just going to go ahead and then cut out my 1 inch. Okay, so I'm done cutting it out. So this is 32 by 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and then cut out the belt we'll be using to tie at the back. I'm going to make the width just 1 inch too, because I don't want my belt too big. After I was done cutting the belts, I realized that it'll be too short for the waist corset, so I went ahead to cut another one. So there are 2, so I'll just be joining them and making it into one long strip. And then this is the loop, so I'm gonna stitch the loop first before I go ahead and then stitch the belt. With the loop, I went in by 1/2 inch, like I've marked here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stitch 1/2 inch, then I'll trim the excess here. So I just trimmed it up to 1/4. So it will be very, very easy to turn. So I'm gonna go ahead, before I do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and then stitch the belt so I can turn them all together when I'm done. So with the belts, we're gonna go ahead and then stitch it from here. We'll stitch it from here all the way to the middle, because we don't want here to be unfinished when we are done. So I'm gonna stitch it from here all the way to the middle, and then leave a tiny gap at the middle for me to that will help me turn it inside out. So maybe I can leave a gap of about 2 inches or 2.5, and then continue sewing it all the way down to here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and then stitch a quarter. So we are almost at the middle. I don't want to come all the way to the middle, so I'm just going to stop here and then back stitch a bit. Then open it up all the way to this point and continue stitching from there. I'm doing this because I've secured the tip. I'm going to secure the ends of my strip. So before turning it, I'm just gonna trim the tip a bit so it'll be easy to turn. I'm done stitching the belt and then the loop, and it's time to turn it inside out. Well, I'll be using my loop turner to turn it inside out. Okay, so this side is still open, so we're going to go ahead and then stitch it close. So just fold in about a quarter. So we're done sewing, turning the loop. This is how it's gonna look like, but we're not done with the loop yet. So I'm gonna give it a quick press and then I'll show you what to do. So that's all for the belt. We're done sewing the belt. We're just gonna give it a good press and then that's all. So with the loop, it's gonna look something like this. Remember, it was 1/2 of an inch we did. So I'm gonna give it a quick press and then we're gonna fold it again up to a quarter and then stitch it again. So the loop, I'm done ironing it now. So I'm just going to turn it, so from half it goes to quarter, then pin it throughout. So this is how it's gonna look like. So I'm gonna take it to the machine and then just quickly sew it for you guys to see. Okay, so I'm done sewing the loop. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna measure 2 inches and then cut them as many as it can go, because I don't know how many I'll need for this. It could be, like I said before, it could be 6 to 8 loops per side. So it will look like this. When you're done sewing this, you have to check the other side to see if the stitches affected it, because sometimes it may stitch at the side but it may skip at the other side. So you really have to take your time and then stitch it very well. I'm gonna go ahead and then measure 2 inches in. like this. Then I'll cut it like this. So with this one, I'm going to use it to cut the rest like this. So I'll just place it on it like this and then cut it out. So I'm done cutting my loops, and now I'm going to attach it to the corset. But first of all, we have to fold the corset in like this, about 1/2 inch in like this. See how neat it's looking? So I'm quickly going to press it and then come in, insert the loops in between these two fabrics. So I'm going to show you how I fold my loop before joining it. So I pick one end of the loop, then I make it overlap the other side just by a quarter. Don't make it go all the way to the end. Just make it overlap by a quarter like this. And then we are going to join it to our waist corset. So this is how we're going to do the rest of the loops before joining it to the corset, just like this. Okay, so I'm done pressing it. Okay, so I'm going to measure 1/2 inch. This is 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to put the second loop there. You can decide to do it closer together, or you can also decide to leave spaces, come down 1/2 inch or even a quarter. So it depends on how you want to do your loop. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and then finish this side and then the other side. Then we can continue from there. So this is how it's gonna look like after you're done pinning it. So I'm just gonna go ahead to sew on it. At this point, you just have to take your time and then sew it, or you end up making a lot of mistakes. I'm done sewing it like this. With this one too, you have to check and then see if the other side is well stitched too. So it's well stitched. Then this side too. So it's gonna look like this. But at this point we're not done yet, because we need to put a bone around here to make here firm when we wear it. So I'm just gonna go ahead to put the bias on it like this. So you're gonna pick the bias like this, fold it at the edge here, then we'll place it directly on it like this. And we're gonna go ahead and pin it. Okay, so we're gonna put it as close to the loops as possible, like this, so that it covers the stitch we made here. We're just gonna pin it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. First of all, I'm new here, and if you love this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up, and then definitely let me know in the comment section. Okay, so I'm gonna fold the other side like this. We can go ahead and then pin that side, or we can just sew the side first, then we'll go into the other side. So anyhow you want to sew it, it's just fine. So when we reach the end here, we have to leave about ½ an inch and then trim it off. Don't trim it close to the edge, trim it away, a bit away from the edge here. Then we're going to fold that side in too. So I'm just gonna go ahead and then sew it, and I do that same thing to the other side. I also want to mention that when you're sewing, you have to leave the down here open so you can be able to insert the bone in there. So you can sew from here all the way to the other side, but then leave this. After putting in the bone, you can go ahead and then close that side. We are almost done with our corsets. I'm done stitching the ends here, and then I've already put in my plastic bone in. So what I'm gonna do, the last thing I'm gonna do is press, and then stitch and close this ends here, and then that's it. Okay, our corset is ready. We're done. So guys, we have come to the end of the video. These are some other corsets I've made. Well, I haven't pressed the side yet, but when you're done sewing the side, you can just go ahead and give it a good press. So I'm quickly going to do that, and then I'll wait for you guys to see how it looks like. So this is how nice and beautiful the corset came out. And I made an observation at the end. I realized that my strip wasn't enough for me. It wasn't too long, so I had to use another strip to finish the last 3 loop here, like you can see. So definitely make your strip longer than I did. Yeah, so aside from that, I love it. The back is looking so beautiful. And if you wanted to go in a bit, you can, instead of subtracting 3 inch on your pattern paper, you can go ahead and then subtract 2 inch or 1.5. Yeah, so that's just all about this beautiful corset, but I really love it. It came out really nice. If you have tried this beautiful corset and you love it, please let me know in the comment section, and definitely give me a thumbs up and hit the notification bell for more videos like this. Hope to see you in my next video. Bye.